Making remixes to songs is just one way that a music producer can grow their following and make a living online as a creator. On platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels, there's a lot of producers who have dedicated their whole brands to making song remixes, and they've established a pretty large presence by doing so. This is a good strategy for producers because it's an easy way to jump on any audio trend. You can make entertaining content around that audio trend, and if your remix is good enough, it can be shared and used by thousands and thousands of other content creators using your remixes in their videos. And even outside of TikTok and Instagram, there are a lot of people who are looking for remixed versions of their favorite songs. On YouTube, there are channels dedicated to posting song remixes, and their videos get millions and millions of plays. And on Spotify, producers who upload remixes also have done very well on that platform. So if this is such a big opportunity for music producers, it brings the question, how can I remix any song? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to remix any song you want using LALAL.AI. So first, we need to pick a song to remix. I'm going to use the song As It Was by Harry Styles. In the previous video on this channel, we used that song, ran it through LALAL.AI to separate the different components. If you haven't checked out that video, highly recommend it. I'll leave a link in the description. But we're gonna use that same song to take out the vocals and then build our lo-fi remix around it. So when you're on LALAL.AI, all you need to do is select what you want to separate. In this case, we're just going to stick with the vocal and instrumental. Select your files or just drag and drop it right in. And while that's loading, let's talk a little bit about what makes a good lo-fi song. In order for us to make a lo-fi remix, we do need to understand the components of any good lo-fi song. I would say that any good lo-fi song or remix has a slow, chill tempo, which is kind of interesting because the track that we're remixing is a bit of a faster tempo, and I think that's going to work good for our remix because it's going to have that contrast. The chords that you use are also really important to think about. Whenever I make a lo-fi beat, I like to use just simple chords, kind of stretched out, nothing too fancy, not a bunch of changes, just something that's easy going. Drums are also important to think about with a lo-fi beat. Since it stems from hip-hop, we're going to use hip-hop drums that sound a little bit faded, a little bit muffled, you know, something that isn't too crisp and hard hitting, just something more laid back. And then effects that you use in a beat are also a really important staple of any good lo-fi song. I love using nature sounds, rain sounds, or probably most importantly, some vinyl crackle effects. And we're gonna use all of this in our lo-fi remix. Alright, so now that we have that downloaded, I'm just going to drag and drop these vocals into FL Studio. And now I need to figure out both the tempo and the key of the song that we're working with. With big songs like this, you can probably get away with Googling it. Like I just Googled As It Was BPM, beats per minute, which is how fast it is. If you don't know what beats per minute or key that the song is, if you're using FL Studio, for example, you can tap into tempo. And to get the key, usually what I do is I would listen to the original song, try and figure out which notes on my keyboard sound good with the song, and then I Google which notes are in which key to figure out the key that we're working in. It's a bit of a lengthy process at first. The more you do it, obviously, the more that you pick up on it. And I am not whatsoever trained in musical theory at all, so those are just a few things that I do. But this said that we're working in 174 beats per minute. Since it's a lo-fi song, I kind of want to work with half that and maybe even slow it down from that. So we're just going to start putting this in at 87 beats per minute, which is half time of what the original song supposedly is. Let's throw on a metronome and then just try and line these vocals up to get them on beat.
Holding me back, gravity. Holding me back, gravity's holding me back.
Okay, that sounds good. And now I'm just going to basically separate which parts we're going to work with. For the purpose of this video, I'm probably just going to work with maybe the first 8 bars of the song. What I want to do now is I want to slow down the tempo. As I was saying, lo-fi beats are usually a bit slower tempo, and because this song's high, you know, rhythm, high intensity, high emotion, I want to actually dial it down a little bit. So I'm going to adjust the tempo in FL Studio and give it a bit of a slower type of vibe. We're going to go from 87 beats per minute. Maybe we can even bring this down to, I don't know, 77 beats per minute.
Holding me back, gravity's holding me back.
It's of course something that we can change later on. So this article said that we were working with F sharp minor. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to figure out all the notes that are in F sharp minor, because it'll make it a lot easier to know, you know, which notes we're playing with. Again, I am not, you know, trained at all in any music theory. Usually a lot of what I do is just based off Google searches. So I'm just searching F sharp minor, and I can see that these are the notes that we are working with. So I can keep that in mind when I'm starting to build chords. I want to work with a really chill type of sound, so I'm going to use an electric piano sound. Let's find a good one here. Alright, that sound is going to be perfect for a lo-fi beat. Alright, so going off Google, I know that these are basically the notes that we are working with for this F sharp minor scale. Now I'm going to try and build some chords around that.
Holding me back, gravity's holding me back, holding me back, gravity's holding me back. I want you to hold that palm in your hand. Why don't we leave it at that?
Alright, so I'm still learning a lot about music theory. I think that this is just a basic 1, 2, 3, 4 chord progression, and it sounds, I think it sounds decent. I'm just basically going to loop that over and over. I'm gonna just make the notes a little bit more smooth.
Holding me back, gravity's holding me back.
And I want to make it a little bit more like chill, so I'm actually gonna lower this pitch down, maybe 3 semitones. Do the same with the chords.
Holding me back, gravity's holding me back.
And I want to add some effects on the vocals. I want to add a little bit of reverb, I want to add a little bit of delay, and I want to add a little bit of a filter to kind of give it a more chill vibe.
Holding me back, gravity's holding me back. I want you to hold it. Why don't we leave it at that?
I like it. It's already got such a different vibe from the original song, which I think makes a really good remix. I'm now going to figure out a bass line. I want to just figure out like a really low, deep bass line. Nothing fancy. Usually my bass line just follow the bottom note of the chords. Alright, before we add the drums, I want to add some sounds that are definitely going to make it even more lo-fi, if that's a verb. In FL Studio, I want to add a little bit of swing to the drums. So I'm going to turn up this knob here, which is just going to make things basically have a little bit of different groove to them, right? I could easily make something like this, but when this knob is turned up. Alright, here are the 3 drum sounds that we're working with. We have a kick drum, a hi-hat, and a snare. Again, you know, punchy sounds, but not over the top. And add a little bit of variation to the kick drum. So now with that, that's basically like the foundation of our lo-fi song. I want to add a few things to make it a little bit more, you know, unique, give it a little bit more life. Let's add a little piano melody over top of the vocals. With that, I think that that is a pretty good foundation for a lo-fi remix. You know, obviously I could expand, I could add more elements, I could, you know, add more variation. You know, if I was building this to a full song, add more variation to the intro and the bridge and the chorus and all that. But this is just, I think this is a pretty good vibe for an 8-bar remix. I think it has a good feeling to it. If you guys want to make lo-fi remixes for yourself and use the tool LALAL.AI that I'm using to take the vocals out of a beat, I'll leave the link in the description for that. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. I'll play this full remix for you guys on the way out, but thanks again for watching.